thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
And can I start by asking you the question where and when you were born?
First of all, as a Muslim, when we start talking something positive, praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All praises be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and peace and blessing upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, seed of the Prophet. And ask Allah ta'ala to help me in this interview to deliver the truth as much as I know, up to my ability. Now, as you asked, where was I born? I was born in Pakistan, and I was not too much, bit of education what I got, in Pakistan. But later on, when I came here, so I personally started, reading books and studying all this. Whenever I get spare time, I keep studying. So that's how I increase my whatever knowledge I have, a bit of knowledge. But at that time, school time, it was almost, a waste of time. We used to, as a kids, you used to waste time. We didn't think that time so valuable.
Yes.
We should benefit, ourselves, time never waste for anyone. So then when we realized that it's really important to educate ourselves, according to Islam, according to other things, moral values as well. So then I started exploring the truth, on my own, reading different books of different scholars, different sects, so I can explore the truth.
I'm just looking at someone looking in there. Can we just cut?
Must be my...
Okay. I just wanted to ask, which faith were you born into as a child?
Fortunately, in Islam.
And as a child, were you aware of your faith, and how did you become aware of your faith as a...
In our, you can say, a culture, or in Islam, you are supposed to teach our kids right at the beginning, who they are. And according to our Prophet ﷺ, the first word we should teach our kids is Allah, your creator. You introduce, their creator, introduce your kids to their creator. The first word we are supposed to teach our kids is Allah. So they know there is someone who created us, So that's how, we start teaching our kids from the beginning of, like 1 year old, then say mom and dad. When they say mom and dad, we say Allah as well. Then 2 years old, then 3 years old, we start teaching them little words of, the Holy Quran by heart, because they don't recognize the letters, they don't know how to read. But we try to make them memorize, little verse, little kalmas, which, represent the, oneness of Allah and power of Allah. So that's how we gradually learn, little by little, according to mental level of the kids, And some kids are really, really progressive, more than their age.
Yes.
So we teach according to, we get taught, and we, teach our kids, according to the mental level. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we are really successful, sometimes we're not successful to teach our kids, because apart from your house, apart from your teaching, when they go out, sorry, when they go out, then environment, and atmosphere, it does affect on them. So you can't say you 100% done your job. Mm-hmm. All that time we have to say that we didn't do enough to teach our kids,
And did your parents, did you feel the influence of your mom and your dad as a child?
Yes, it did. The best, most influence I get, there's 5-time prayer. We have to, as a Muslim, you have to say. Once I remember it was really, really cold weather. And I went into bed, I was really almost asleep, and my father came and said, have you said your prayer? Isha prayer. Isha prayer is the last prayer of the day. So I couldn't lie. I said, no. He said, get out of the bed and say a prayer. And now I remember saying, it's nice that they taught us, they prepared us for these kind of, it is difficult, it sounds difficult, get out of warm bed in the, cold weather. But, if you teach your kid from the beginning, it's really easy to act upon these, difficult looking things, and difficult looking acts. But when we teach our kids from the, beginning, it's really, really much easier and much more influential as well, I think, from the beginning,
And you mentioned that your dad was a teacher as well.
Yes, a teacher as well. Honest teacher, very honest teacher.
And I'm just wondering how that affected your family life, and how he was regarded in the community? And
To be honest, because sometimes when we talk your own, people, like parents, and we do exaggerate, sometimes we do, it's emotional. But to be honest, he was really, really honest person. You can say a poor person, because if you go legal ways, to earn money, if you go according to legal ways and halal ways, it's really, really hard to, progress rapidly, And I can say he was very honest person, very truthful person. No matter he earned a little bit, but he was so blessed that he did, his job properly. He brought up his kids, educate them, and he ran, his house, properly. Even though it was little bit money, but he did well, because if even though it's little bit money, but it's earned, through halal, through legal procedure. Allah bless it. That's what we believe, and that's what we learned from our parents. Even though around, all around our, there's so many, what you call rich people, so powerful people, influential people, but we never get impressed of those kind of things until today. It's my habit. When I'm get impressed of someone, in wealth is never, comes in my way. I'll never get impressed of wealthy person, rich person, powerful person. Whenever I get impressed of someone is because of knowledge.
yes,
When I see someone, a really good person, truthful person, daring person, in front of evil,
yes,
who stands in front of evil, courageous people, that kind of things really impress. And money, I don't think money is something you should be impressed of.
excellent. I just wondered if you could describe, as a Muslim, some of the rituals and important festivals that are related to your worship.
You can say Islam is based on 5 fundamentals. These are fundamentals we have to perform these kind of things. Otherwise, if you don't perform one of the act, you can be a sinner, but you can't be a non-Muslim. You can't go out of Islam. But if you deny any of them, these 5 fundamentals, if you deny any of them, then you go out of Islam. It's first of all is, you have to testify there is no one worthy of worship but Allah, and Muhammad is Allah's last messenger and prophet. And you have to believe along this is fundamental of Islam. Then comes, I'll tell you fundamentals of Iman, fundamentals of faith. So first of all, you have to testify no one worthy of worship but Allah, and Muhammad is Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. And second, 5-time prayers. You have to, no matter you're rich, poor, weak, or poorly, wealthy, whatever, you have to say 5-time prayers. This is kind of program, which because Allah promised in the Holy Quran, if you keep on saying 5-time prayers, these prayers will help you to stay away from evil and all kind of obscenity, inshallah. So that's why we try to keep, through these 5 prayers, we try to get closer to our Creator. And you get closer to your Creator, the more you stay away from the evil and all sorts of troubles. Troubles do come. We do know troubles do come, no matter you're a powerful person or a weak person, no matter you live in your own country or abroad. Whatever is destined for you to face, you will face, definitely. That's our belief. And the third is paying zakah. It's, wealthy people, they pay zakah, what is charity, what's obligatory charity you call. It's not like optional. You have to pay, it's 1/40 of, 2.5% of your wealth. You have to pay up to the poor people. And number 4 is fasting in Ramadan. And number 5 is once in your life, go to Mecca and perform Hajj. And the rest is obligatory. The rest is optional. If you want to go second time, go ahead. If Allah bless you with money and everything, because it costs money as well. I'm still waiting to go. Inshallah, I will go one day, but I'm still waiting to go there and perform Hajj. And when you go there, it's tremendous. It's wonderful scene. You can see the equality of human being over there when you go to Hajj. To at least 2 million people from all over the world gather over there. And nobody knows, which caste are you from, which creed are you from, which country are you from. It doesn't matter anything. Because we all equal in sight of Allah Ta'ala. And that's the, I think, biggest ever example of equality and unity, universal brotherhood in sight of Allah and prescribed in Islam. And these are the five fundamentals of Islam. We have to believe in them, and we have to perform these kind of things like praying, fasting, paying charity, obligatory charity. And then Islam goes, it occupies all your life, then there's so many other things. And then it comes pillars of Iman. These are five pillars of Islam. Islam, is based on, its whole building is on these five pillars. Then it comes pillars of Iman, pillars of faith. You have to have faith in these things. Those are in Allah. You have to faith in your Creator. You have to have faith in Judgment Day. That you have to believe that one day you have to appear before Allah, and you have to give all the account of your all actions, whatever you've done in this life. And that's I think in the Holy Quran there's two main theme, is one, believing in Allah and believing on Judgment Day, that you have to appear before Allah. Whatever you think of evil, whatever you do evil, think once, before thinking that Allah is watching you. If not today, tomorrow you have to appear before Allah, and He's going to ask you. You have to give an account, That's the belief which makes you strong and firm on the right path. And the third pillar of faith is, having belief on all the messengers who was sent by Allah Ta'ala. 25 are mentioned and rest are not mentioned. But still, whoever was sent by Allah, we have to believe that he was true prophet and messenger. Then we have to believe in books, whatever Allah said, Old Testament, Bible, and by name is only 4 mentioned in the Holy Quran. And other we don't know by name. There could be from Allah Ta'ala, could not be. But we can't say for sure they are from Allah, from God Almighty. But for sure we know that 4 are mentioned in the Holy Quran. We have to believe those are true. Those were true books, from Allah Ta'ala. And now we have to believe the Quran is last, word of Allah Ta'ala. Then you have to believe in destiny. Whatever God is destined for you, you have to face, good or bad. These are the fundamentals of faith. You have to believe in these things. Because these are related to here, and fundamentals of Islam, pillars of Islam. Those you have to perform physically as well, like prayer, fasting, performing Hajj. And these are pillars of faith. They belong to here, they belong here. You have to have faith, you have to believe in it, and you have to accept these, truths with all your heart.
And how do those pillars and that seed of motivation in your heart, how does that affect your everyday life? How do you try to put that into practice every day?
Every day.
As difficult as it might be some days.
Some days it's difficult, I know. Once, Prophet ﷺ was asked, by his companion, one of the companions, he said, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, when we are with you, when you describe heavens, and paradise and, hell, and we are so close, you feel like we are watching, paradise are watching before us. And you describe about hell, it's like we are seeing it in front of us, and our iman is so strong, faith is so strong that time. But when we come home, we are busy, our kids, our jobs and earning money, you have to fulfill necessity of your families and everything. Then we feel that kind of faith is not at that level when we are with you. So it just happened, iman, your faith goes up and down, It's all according to your actions, When you do bad action, or bad intention, even you think of bad, it goes down, It's like temperature, it goes down. And we do something good. And by doing something good, like praying or, helping a human being, all human being, Allah's creation, it's like Allah says in the Holy Quran, is whole one nation. All humanity is one nation. Allah divide, those nations into tribes and different colors, different languages, to show there's a sign of Allah. Allah can do all this, so you may recognize each other. Not that you think you're superior to each other, no, to recognize each other. So when we think, that's how our actions, bad or good, they do affect our iman. According to good actions, with good, by doing good actions, we get closer to Allah Ta'ala. Our faith goes up and up. And by, as soon as you think, especially, the downfall of faith starts. This the first ever step is, when you think you are something, you are better than other people. That's, your downfall, is step to downfall. Your iman, your degree of iman, your faith goes down and down, because you never admire Allah Ta'ala. If you're so beautiful, and you think you are much better than other people, how can you, because you didn't make your face. You have got no power to be born, in the family, whichever family you want to. It's all Allah created you this way. So Allah, created you this way. Allah created the people other way. Some are richer than other people. Some are more beautiful. Some are more wiser than other people. So this is all, as a Muslim, we think these are all tests. Sometimes Allah tests us by giving us something. Sometimes Allah tests us by depriving us from something. Like, for example, two, poor people. One's poor, one's a rich person. So they shouldn't think, poor people shouldn't think, I'm something, I'm something special. That's why Allah blessed me with so much money. No, that's a test is for him. And the poor person shouldn't think, oh, I'm nothing in the sight of Allah. Allah doesn't like me. That's why he doesn't bless me with money and, with all this luxury. No, he's not supposed to think that way. As a Muslim, he's not supposed to think. They both are being tested. Rich person is being tested with that money. How is he going to spend that money? Is he going to help Allah's other human being, other creation as well? Is he going to, benefit other people with his wealth as well? Or he just keep on eating and, all spending on himself, And poor person is tested by poverty. Allah is going to test him. Is he going to still be on straight path, or no? Or is he going to go for illegal way to earn money? So the both are tested. When we think, whatever circumstances we are in, whatever kind of calamity comes or good time comes, is all test from Allah Ta'ala. And sorry.
No. I'm just wondering how do you take responsibility for educating your children in?
Yeah, full responsibility.
Yes.
And as a parent, full responsibility to teach them manners, to teach them, first of all, to teach them humanity, how to be a good human being, how to be a beneficial for whole community. You're not one, in the whole community. If you be beneficial for them, one day they can benefit you,
Yes.
You're not supposed to be, big-headed and, if you got some kind of power, be big-headed and, start bullying other people and this and that. No, this is absolutely against Islam, And it does sometimes, these days kids are doing these kind of things, no matter they are Muslims or non-Muslim. We can't say Muslims are angel, they don't do anything. They do a lot. But the main thing, is, I'm sorry, it's a bit away from your question. But, the main point is, sometimes we see, our Muslim brothers and sisters doing lots of bad things. And you can't even imagine a Muslim doing all these things, But the point is, where we get disappointed is, Islam shouldn't be judged by Muslims. Islam should be judged by its teaching. Because every Muslim is not living Islam. Some Muslims are living for money. They are selling iman for, selling their faith for money, a bit of money. And we believe, as a true Muslim, I think I'm supposed to believe that what's the point of getting so much money, haram way or illegal way, or by harming someone, and someone hiring to, someone to harm other person. I'll give you this much money. So what's the point of that money, getting that money? We never know. You don't have even guarantee of your next breath. You never know you can die in next step. Yeah. You don't have to be poorly to die. You don't have to get old to die. Death can, hit you anytime. You can confront death anytime. You must have seen so many little kids, young kids, different ages that people do die. So when we die, we go somewhere, If there's a purpose of life, there's a purpose of death as well. When we die, we have to go somewhere. We have to give an account to someone, to our actions. So what's the point? You are leaving all that money behind. So what's the point? You work hard, Allah will give you money. Work hard, halal way, legal way. But don't go for haram. That's what I believe. Don't go for haram to earn more and more and more. And that's what we are supposed to teach our kids, especially these days. Because these days kids are so, I can say, I don't know, it's ambitions or whatever, but they're so much after money, after luxury, when they see their friends, oh, my friend's so rich, he's got big car, he's beautiful bungalow and this and that, then they feel some kind of disappointment and some kind of, you can say, desire to get money. So you have to teach them, you can get money, you can get rich by working hard. And doesn't matter if you be rich, as long as a good Muslim, as long as you're a good human being, as long as you're a respected person in the whole community. That's enough, more than enough.
In terms of your children and your faith, does your faith discriminate, or is it natural differences between how you treat, or how you were treated as a woman or a girl, and maybe it's how boys or men are treated? Or are there any natural roles for boys and girls within the Muslim faith?
That's a very beautiful question. I think most appropriate question, these days especially, or can be previous times as well. According to Islam, there's no discrimination. Allah says in the Holy Quran, no matter you're a man or woman, whoever does a righteous deed, he'll be blessed with reward. Allah said, no discrimination. Whoever's get closer to me, he'll be rewarded. So this is, this kind of discrimination. Our, people are facing these kind of attitudes, in our culture. But that's culture. That's communities, their own ruling. It's not Allah's rule. It's not Islam. Because as I said before, Muslims are not living Islam. They are living, according to their own desires, what they're doing, what they pleases, whatever pleases them. So Islam says whatever, and, especially girls, if you let me, I'll tell you a little story now. So as you asked about ladies, if Islam has some kind of discrimination against them or no. As a Muslim, first of all, before I tell you the story, I said to I tell you the saying of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, that if you give one child, once a Sahabi, a companion of his, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came to him and said, "O Prophet of Allah, I gave my son a present, a gift. It was really, expensive gift, and I want you to be witness, And he asked him, "Did you give the same gift to other kids as well?" He said, "No." Then Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I can't be witness to that unjust, matter. If you want to give all of them. If you don't want to give, you can't afford, then don't give one. There's no discrimination, between your own kids. This is, if you are, discriminated, own kids, what about the other community? What are you going to do outside the house then? How can you, if you can't be just with, with your own kids, how can you be just around your community, around other people, around your, with your neighbors? So all education and, ethics and manners, all kind of these things start from your own house, If you can build a Islamic house or peaceful house or well-mannered house, you can give, if each house is like this, you can build, you can produce a very peaceful community as well, where everybody's cooperative, everybody's helping, everybody's loving and caring, no matter where nation they are from, no matter which nationality do they have, as long as they are human being. Because Allah Ta'ala, honored human being. Allah Ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, I honored human being. Because Allah gave them wisdom, Allah gave them free will, Allah gave them proper shape. Is the beautiful, most beautiful shape. Look at the animals, different shape, and compare yourself with the animals. Human beings, wonderful. The human beings got wonderful shape. So you can't, show any kind of even a little bit discrimination, between your kids. And coming to the point of girls, especially girls. And people do, but this is not Islam. Because they're not aware of Islamic, rulings, Islam beauty, and they haven't tasted the, sweetness of Islam or Iman. That's why they're doing all these things. Because Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if you got a, if you're Allah blessed with your daughter, that means if you're blessed with one daughter, 2 or 3 daughters, and if you bring them up according to Islam, teach them manners, and without any kind of discrimination, without looking down upon them, and inshallah you will get into Jannah, Allah's paradise. Because that's how Allah and our Islam and our Prophet is encouraging us to be kind to, this, you can say, a weak gender or whatever, in our culture, you can say, they think they are women are weak. And once, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's companion came to him and he said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, I accepted Islam, and I committed so many sins before I accept Islam. So is Allah going to forgive me?" And Prophet said, "Whatever sins you've done before Islam, Allah will forgive you. As soon as you enter Islam, previous sins will be erased from your action book." Then he insisted, he said, "Whatever, how big sin is?" He said, "Yes, no matter how big sin is." Then the third time he said, "No matter how big sin, Allah is going to forgive me." Then Prophet said, "What kind of sin is bothering you? Why are you keeping asking?" He said, once, when my wife was, before Islam, time before Islam, when my wife was pregnant, she was carrying my baby. And during that time, I had to go somewhere, those time, people go for work and live there for months and months, and he had to go somewhere, he has to go somewhere for a long time. When he came back, after, behind him, she gave birth to a little girl. And she knew, that, those days what happened, was how people were treating the little girls. So she was really loving, she really loved that her daughter, and she started bringing her up, And once she heard that her husband's coming back, and I was about 2-3 years, she was able to play in the yard, she was able to walk, little girl. And when she heard, my husband's coming back, then she tried to hide her daughter, and he hid her daughter, no matter, I think he, as long as I remember, he sent a daughter to, a neighborhood. So my husband doesn't see the daughter. When he came back, he asked, "What did you have?" Because he knew she was expecting when he left. He asked her, "What did you have?" He said, "I had a baby, little child, it was dead child. I delivered a dead baby." It was, matter was finished. He said he believed her. Then it was finished, khalas. Then one day he saw a little kid, a girl, playing in a front yard. And he said, "Who is this little girl?" He said, "It's all from neighbor, I'm neighbor's girl. And she always comes, I'm lonely, so she always comes here, play with me to give me company." Then her husband, he got familiar to that little girl as well. So once, his wife noticed that her husband is closer to that daughter. He's getting closer to that little girl, even though he didn't know it's his daughter. He's getting closer, and he's loved that little girl a lot. So one day he said, "This is the right time to tell him, because I can tell that he's closer to that little girl, and I think he's not going to harm that little girl." And one night he said, "The little girl you were playing with is our own daughter." He said, "Is he our own daughter?" He was really amazed to hear that, and didn't say anything. In the morning he said, "Oh, get my daughter ready, clothes her, some really nice clothes, give her a bath, and I want to take her away, for a walk." And she never imagined, what's going to happen to my daughter. The lady, she said, I got her ready and I sent her with her dad. And she went with her dad. She kept walking with her dad. And in the way he said, "How long are you going to go, Dad? Oh, I'm tired. Aren't you tired?" And the way she kept asking, "Aren't you tired?" He said, little further. And she kept walking. When they reached the point where he wanted to go, and he said, "You sit down here. I need to do something." And that man, started digging the ditch, and the little girl was, she was, dusting her dad's clothes. "Oh, come on, Dad, let me do it. You must be tired. Let me do this for you. And your clothes are getting to, and she kept on cleaning her dad's clothes. And he kept on digging. He never bothered what she doing, When it was quite deep, then he said, he called his daughter. He was telling the story of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He called his daughter and he said, "Will you check how deep is it? Go down and check, how does it feel? How deep is it?" And he listened to her dad. And she went down, and he started, putting all that soil and sand and everything, putting on the daughter. He said, "What are you doing, Dad? Oh, what are you doing? I don't like Dad. I'm getting scared, Dad." But he never listened. He was telling story. I never listened. My daughter kept saying, "Oh, don't do this, Dad. Don't do this. I'm scared." And I buried her. He said, I buried her up to here. And she was said, "Dad, I'm suffocating. Don't do this." Then, he said, I couldn't even hear her, what she's saying. That time, there's imagination, that concept that daughter is some kind of curse. Is so much, it's occupied my brain that I couldn't hear my cries and screaming my, kid, my daughter. And I did bury her, he said, he admitted in front of Prophet. He said, I did bury her. And after burying her up to, here, and I came back, and on the way back, I kept, listening, the little screaming. First they were loud and kept going down, 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 and finished. I didn't feel any mercy for my own daughter. That's how I was before Islam. So is Allah going to forgive me that sin? Prophet ﷺ said he kept crying and crying, He was listening to the story, he kept crying. He said, okay, Allah forgave you. Because it was before Islam, and before you were not aware, of beauty of Islam. So you did this, Allah forgave you, but go away from my side, please. At the moment, I can't even see your face. Go away from me. And from now, be affectionate to little girls and be loving to these girls, and try to give honor to, girls and women, and from now, and Allah will forgive you. And that's how, ladies and little girls were treated before Islam. And Islam gave a lady so much dignity, so much status that I don't think anyone can do, Because today, ladies' freedom, is described in different way, Now, to be honest, I think ladies are getting used, by companies. They can't even sell any product without, showing lady on the TV, And Islam tells you to, Islam tells a housewife is a queen of, his own house. And husband, in the Holy Quran, Allah says, be kind to her. Even though you don't like your wife, be kind to her. You might not like one thing about her. And Allah must have, placed in her so many other good things. Try to find positive things, positive points in your wife. And be, good and kind to them. And advise, take their advice as well in different in big matters. So Islam gave you ladies so many rights, which I can't describe at the moment, but Islam gave us so much honor, so much dignity, so much high status. And even though Allah said, Islam, paradise lies under your mother's feet, what else Allah can give us? It's more than anything.
And is that reflected in your culture and religion? In the way you dress? Is that part of your Islamic belief in your dignity as a woman is reflected in how you choose to dress?
So first of all, as a Islamic, and to be honest, I can say, even this is not enough. I should have, I should have more than I'm doing at the moment. But as a Muslim lady, as a commandment from Allah Ta'ala, we accept it with all our heart. That we have to cover cover ourselves properly before we go out. So then it comes dignity. But first comes Islam, First come Allah's commandment, Allah's and Prophet's commandment. Cover yourself, because this is so much wisdom behind it, covering yourself. When you cover yourself, this, for instance, first of all, you keep in your mind, when you say something or when you ask something, you're asking me, I'm telling you. We both have to be open mind and open heart, And sometimes you prove yourself to be right. And that doesn't mean you're proving other people wrong.
No.
Because you are being questioned. And you have to prove yourself right. That doesn't mean you're proving other people, You shouldn't think that way. You have to be open mind. So now coming to the question, for instance, two equal beautiful sisters, they're going on the road. And one's, covering herself properly. Nobody knows what kind of figure, she has, what kind of, clothes she's wearing, how beautiful, how tight, how transparent clothes she is wearing. And the other one is wearing mini skirt or whatever, And almost, 3/4 of bodies, revealed, and automatically you can imagine who is going to be more attracted to opposite sex, you know. Obviously, who is showing, you know, because body is really, you know, Allah Ta'ala placed attraction, you know, for opposite sex, you know. So this is, you know, is that's why we cover self, you know. For this instance, you know, you can tell the obviously, you know, the lady who's revealing herself, she's going to be more attractive to other people. She's going to fascinate other opposite sex more than the lady who is covering. People can say, oh, she's dumb, she doesn't look beautiful, you know. As long as, doesn't matter people say you're beautiful or not, as long as you're beautiful in here, as long as you're beautiful in mind, as long as you're beautiful inside the house, as long as your husband loves you, as long as your husband takes you as a most beautiful lady, that's enough. I think that's enough for us as a Muslim. We think that's enough. Because some people say, you know, oh, what's the point? Allah gave us beauty. Allah gave us beautiful hair, complexion, beautiful eyes. Why don't we show it, you know, to other people? But as a Muslim, we think if Allah if Allah, you know, gave us so many bounties, you know, like beauty, height, figure, everything. And with these things, Allah gave us commandment as well, you know, to conceal this beauty for your husband is sacred trust, you know. And because husband and wife is the most sacred relationship, you know. It's the first ever relationship which was built on the face of earth, you know, Adam and Eve. This is the first relationship between men and women. So to honor that relationship and to give it status, to give it dignity, and to give it some kind of, you know, like, you can say honor here, to honor that relationship, you know, between husband and wife, Allah Ta'ala command both of them to be chaste, to save yourself for each other. Even your emotions should be for each other. They are sacred trust.
Because of recent media events and political changes and social things in the world, have you felt any direct increase in any direct prejudice because of maybe it's the way you dress, or because of your faith? Have you encountered, or your community felt, any kind of change or shift because of what we read and what has been prominent in recent times?
Personally, I never received, alhamdulillah, praise Allah Ta'ala, by the grace of Allah, I never received this kind of attitude, you know. But we did hear, as my friend, you know, she was saying that, you know, last meeting, you know, she was saying that she was wearing scarf and, you know, people came and they struck fingers and this and that, you know. And we hear almost, you know, if not every day, but, you know, frequently we keep on hearing these kind of things are increasing. But alhamdulillah, personally, I can't say I did receive any kind, and I hope Allah will save us, inshallah. Because all that we seek, you know, Allah's help wherever we live, wherever and whatever environment, you know, we are living in. If Allah protects you, no one can harm you. If Allah leaves you alone, anyone can harm you. Even, you know, much weaker people than you, they can harm you if Allah leaves you alone. But to be honest, we think, you know, Allah never leaves you alone just like that, without any reason. If you keep on doing your own obligations, you know, if you don't go beyond Allah's legislation, against Allah's legislation, Allah will help you, inshallah. And these kind of prejudice, you know, sometimes students, you know, face these kind of attitude and discrimination in schools and, you know, colleges. We do hear these kind of complaints, but I think this is not. I can't say that this is only in this community. I think good and bad people are in every communities. We can say in our own community, we can face these kind of racism, or you can say racial attitude. You can find it in every single community. I think you can't say, you know, you can't point at one, you know, community that those people are like racist or these kind of things, or they've got personal prejudice. But I think these good and bad, these kind of people are in every single community. And it all based on personal prejudice and hatred, you know. We don't come out of our hatred. We don't try to understand other people. We just hear, you know, that person, oh, he's a Muslim, and these are they kind of people. We don't try to understand them. We don't try to communicate with them. When we do try to communicate with them, then they know, when we know about, you know, each other, then you've got something good in you, I've got something in me, then we say, oh no, I was just thinking he's a bad person. He's not. He or she is not a bad person. So we don't communicate. That's why I think there where proper problem arise. We don't try to
I'm just wondering
clear our mind.
if you think in modern times religion is creating more a division between communities, or where it might have been on terms of culture or colour, where people experience prejudice. For the first time, are we seeing division on religious grounds, which is more unusual, and how you feel about that, and how we can overcome that, if that is happening.
Overcoming, answering the last first, overcoming is not the one you're doing at the moment. This is a wonderful step to overcome, these kind of the step you are taking, interviewing me or other people, other religious group. This is the first step to, it's the biggest, I think, big step as well, to develop, closer relation to other, what you call them, religious groups.
Yes.
So this is a good step. And the other thing which you asked, sorry.
I'll go back and look.
Sorry.
Where was I? That was it. Do you feel that for the first time religion is creating a divide in communities, whether that's our own communities or across the globe?
But when the religion is concerned, I think people were here, Muslims and all Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, all communities, all religious groups were here before as well, for past almost 50 years. But things were not like this before. I think I don't blame anyone, and I think this is all greed for power, greed for money. Is getting, the more greed is increasing, the more problems are increasing. Out of greed, we do so many other things to defame other religious group. So at the moment, the most discussed religion is obviously, you can tell on media, switch on TV, the first thing Muslims did this, read newspaper, first ever huge what you call headline, Muslims did this. I think at the moment, for most discussed religion and most misunderstood religion is Islam, I think. Because and sometimes this misunderstanding of Islam is creating some kind of fear, some kind of phobia inside the in the mind of kids, kids from different communities, different religion groups. They think people are trying to demonize, astaghfirullah, God forbid, demonize this Islam, that this is some kind of barbaric religion. When you I think I always I appeal to those people who think that Islam is something dangerous or something you can say barbaric. I appeal to them that explore the truth, learn about Islam. You judge Islam by the teaching of Islam. Don't just hate Islam because of action of Muslims. First you ask yourself, what do you know about Islam? Not what you see in the actions of Muslims, not what you heard about Islam, but what do you really know about Islam? When you know something, without knowing, we can't blame anyone. That's our kind of Allah Ta'ala, that's why always Allah Ta'ala forbid us to live in illusion or to create some kind of superstitions in your mind. Allah Ta'ala says, don't hate anyone just based on suspect or superstition, which creating your mind. So don't, until you know something about someone, you can't hate anyone, even though it's a legal law in Islamic law that you can't put someone into trial until is her crime is proven. Just on suspicion or just on suspect, you can't do this. So this is all, I think, based on suspects, on illusions, and what they hear about different people, what they see in different people's action. So I think all misunderstanding, and somewhere is personal hatred as well. And I think people who hate Muslims or who hate anyone, I think they don't love anyone. They just love themselves. I can't say they hate only Muslims. They might hate other Christians, they might hate other, different communities as well. So we can't blame they specifically they hate Muslims. But I mentioned Islam because it's at the moment is most discussed, religion. The more discussion on this, more it's creating some kind of, phobia and fear. And fear, when there's fear, there's no peace. And our kids, our community, different community, kids of different religious groups, they shouldn't be scared of Muslim kids, They should get to know each other. Then how can be, if they're scared of Muslims, Muslims or any other religious groups, how are you going to maintain peace in community? So they have to get to know each other. And parents should teach their kids, two kind of people, play a main role, a positive role to crack this, these kind of things. It's parents and teachers. I think parents should teach their kids, first of all, you're a human being. You have to prove yourself as a Muslim or whoever, We should tell our kids, as a Muslim, prove yourself. You're not a scary person. You're very calm. You're helpful. You're cooperative. You're a good human being, nice, beneficial human being. And teachers should give, I think, as a teacher, she can play a huge role and positive role to teach their kids. Apart from, they do teach maths, English, chemistry, physics. Okay, they're wonderful things. But I think they should take half an hour or 15 minutes will do every day to teach their kids some humanity, human principles, some manners, how to go out, how to behave, how to, treat other people, how to communicate with other people. I think these kind of people can, play a very good and positive role, inshallah. May Allah help us.
If you feel that the Muslim community has a role within the wider community to make and to support this building of bridges, how would you? It's a hard question, but how would you see that helping? You've already said parents and teachers are fundamental, but in the wider sense of the broader Muslim community, is there a role for that within your community?
A role for that is, every individual, they should think they're responsible for our actions, good or bad. If you do benefit other people, Allah will play. As a Muslim, I'm talking as a Muslim, because that's what I believe. That's what every Muslim is supposed to believe, that he or she is, individually responsible for the, good or bad action. So if every individual, single individual, has a sense of little bit sense of responsibility, and a sense of appearing before Allah, and if he's got fear of that moment, that I'll be appearing before Allah Ta'ala, and he's going to ask me, what if I do something bad in here? I have to give an account, to Allah Ta'ala, and he's got power of all the things. If every individual thinks, this way, and try to do as good as he can, he or she can, that's how we can, I think, produce a very good community, very peaceful and healthy community, inshallah. Because we can't say, parents done their job on the kids. No, the kids have to do their jobs. As soon as they're grown up, they're 16, 17, they have a sense of responsibility as well. And they go out, they mix with their friends, and they teach their friends as well. That's how every individual matters, in the community. And they have to prove, then every individual have to prove by their attitude that he or she is a good human being. And he or she has to strive to produce a peaceful community.